This is a special edition of Late Night Health. I'm Mark Allen. We're going to take a look at immunity, especially during this time of COVID-19. We need to have a strong immunity. We're going to be spending some time with Darren Root. He's the CEO of Youtheory, and we'll find out everything you wanted to know about supplements, but particularly how the Youtheory ones are made. I've been taking, I'm going to do this right, but turmeric. I've been taking the probiotic. This is green, so it's keying out a little bit, but and the sleep, amongst others. I also have maca that I've been taking as well. Darren, welcome to Late Night Health.
Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome. How did you get involved in the supplement industry to start with?
My family came over from Sicily, and we came through Ellis Island, my great grandparents and my grandparents, and they ended up in Wakefield, Massachusetts, and decided to get in the food business. So they opened up a deli and they started, making sausage and baking bread, and that has continued to this day. So we ended up where my grandfather ended up co-creating Progresso Soup Company, and then they ended up creating delis called Julianos, and then they ended up in the 40s deciding to move it to California because a few of them went into the Navy. There are 9 brothers and sisters on my grandmother's side and my grandfather's side, so they went in. A few of them went in the Navy, went to San Diego, saw how beautiful it was, and said everybody needs to leave Boston and come to San Diego and open delis. So it ended up that they actually had to travel down Route 66, which I just did this last year with my wife, and they couldn't stay in a hotel because they were WAPs. So they had to sleep in the cars from Boston to San Diego, and they ended up in San Diego and never went back. And so they created a deli in San Diego and one in Los Angeles called Julianos. And the one since the 40s, the one in Los Angeles is a monument. It's a historical monument down there.
Is it still there?
Oh yeah, and it today, even with the coronavirus, I believe the line is still wrapping around the corner to get food because our deli is completely stocked. Now, we opened up in the 80s, we opened up like 60 delis, franchised them out.
I remember those.
Yeah, and so we found that wasn't the greatest because a lot of family members didn't own it. So we came back to the one deli. There's still several out there, but they're named Julianos, but they're not owned by the family. The one is owned in Gardena. And then from there, we started pickling peppers, jalapenos, and pickles. And then we went into baking bread. So we actually have bought the Hughes building facility, not just the building. There's about 15 buildings down in LA. And we manufacture bread down there. And so from there, this generation, my cousins, there's an abundance of them, but we all want to be CEOs. So all of us decided we didn't want to work for each other, so let's go open our own businesses. So I have one cousin that does integrated foods, which makes all the food for all the frozen food for Trader Joe's. He also does food for school lunch programs. I have another one that does frozen pizza dough, the lasagna at Costco. So what happened was I got into the grocery business all my life. So I went from delis to selling peppers and bread into all the retail chains. So when I was 5 years old, I was running around with my grandfather on his sales calls. And then I ended up being the delivery guy driving a truck. And so I knew I used to go and in fact, I still can remember this day because he brought it up, Jim Senegal at Costco and Price. I would climb pallets in the FedMart building and sit on top of the tallest pallet, and they would get so mad at me for being, up there and why my grandfather was doing the sales call. And so I knew I had relationships built all through the retail sector. So back in the 90s, I was sitting in Mother's Market and Sprouts. Okay. I went from one to the other. First Mother's told me, then I went and asked Sprouts. And what happened was the pickle aisle was going down in size. And all of a sudden I saw these nutritional supplements sitting there taking the place. And so I asked Sherry at Mother's, and this was back in the 90s. I said, hey, what's going on here? You're taking up my pickle aisle. She grabbed a bottle of pickles and she grabbed a bottle of vitamin C and she put them up next to each other. And she said, look, it's the same size. She goes, this bottle sells for $20 and your pickles sell for $3.75. I make 25 cents off your pickles and I make $10 off the vitamin C. What do I want to put on the shelf? And I'm like, and I literally said, what is in that bottle? And she said, look, Darren, it's just food. And when she said that, I never forgot it. So I decided I got to figure out how to do this, but I didn't know how to manufacture supplements and I didn't know the industry. So what I noticed was there was hardly any manufacturers selling retail. And I'm like, this is crazy. So I went to Tom Tierney at Vitatech and I said, hey, why don't I help you open retail? And you manufacture a line, because he was at the time, he was big into BodyWise International, which was a MLM company doing well. You had New Skin, you had all these MLMs, but nobody would go retail. And I'm running around, I'm asking all the manufacturers, hey, create a retail. They're like, there's no money in retail, Darren. Don't do it. So I talked Tom Tierney into doing it. And then Tom asked me to help him out in the marketing side of his MLM. And when I did, the sales were growing. So he's all, let's put retail on hold. Let's just work on this. And I said, no, this is not what I'm here for. And so I ended up working on trying to find a company, a manufacturer that would sell retail. So I went back into Sprouts and I said I was hanging around Sean Boney over in Escondido location. And I said, what is your number one selling product? I mean, because Tom Tierney told me this, and I brought it up to Tom Tierney a while ago. And the question was, what is it in supplements that's going to make a lot of money? And he said, Darren, when you find an aspirin, which means it hurts to go off of it, that's when you find the pot of gold.
Well, as I said earlier, the sleep product is one that my family does not want to be without. And just so you know, and I have this on authority, I was Italian in my previous life. And so Little Italy in San Diego,
yes,
is one of my favorite places to be.
Yes.
It's a great place and always a great meal. However, Italian food, like sausages that you were talking about, may not be the healthiest thing to eat, right? So
correct.
having supplements like vitamin C's and D's and fish oils and those kinds of things help boost your immune system and maybe allow you to cheat a little bit and have that sausage and pepper sandwich once in a while.
What's interesting is that, we come from a little town called Pechino in Sicily, and I enjoy visiting it often. But my relatives there, I don't have overweight relatives in Sicily. I have some here in Southern California, but I don't have them in Sicily because they eat fish and vegetables. And they don't eat a lot of red meat and chicken even. It's all about fish and vegetables, and mostly vegetables. And
being right there at the Mediterranean, the fishes and shellfish.
Abundance. Yeah, and I asked the question to one of my great aunts. I said, why is I said, hey, I want to taste your meatballs. On one of my, it's like I was young, a lot younger. I want to taste one of your meatballs. And she says, I don't make meatballs. I go, I make marinara with some meat in it every once in a while, but that's only in the winter. You don't need meatballs. You're too heavy. And at the time I did weigh quite a bit more than I do now. So I went through a time in my life where I gained a little bit of weight and then lost it, but got a little healthier and back on track and exercising. But yeah, the key is moderation. And my grandparents that opened the deli were not overweight, and that when they went to go eat a sausage, I don't think they ever ate a whole sausage. They'd eat a couple of pieces, but they actually were pretty health conscious, and they lived late in life in their 90s. So,
Wow.
yeah.
You know, it's interesting. I am looking for, have been for years, an invitation to the Feast of Seven Fishes at Christmas. I'm available.
Okay.
So just keep that in mind, Darren. Our guest is the CEO of Youtheory. Now we're going to talk about some of the products and the reasoning behind it. And then in a week or two, maybe we'll get hold of the man who puts
Dr. Bits.
together. Yeah. And who makes these things just outstanding. How is business for you, for Youtheory right now? I mean, we are, you know, housebound. I don't know about you, but I get stir crazy quite easily. I've been in since Saturday and haven't been out, and we're recording this on Wednesday, so it's been 5 days. And I want to get out. I mean, I go out for a walk, and the weather has changed here in Southern California. It's a little bit warmer, so I will go for a walk today. I can't go to the gym. I can walk up and down or run up and down my stairs, but can I buy this online as well as in retail?
You absolutely can. Costco.com, Amazon.com. All our retailers have a website, whether it's Vitamin Shop or GNC or Sprouts. So Youtheory.com. We actually have a way right on the site that you can buy any of our products and get directly shipped, as well as Amazon. So yes, you could buy them straight from your home.
And right now, during the COVID-19 pandemic, this is a good time to start supplementing your diet, isn't it?
It is. It's always a good time. And we saw back in 2008, we saw a big increase when everybody was going through an economic crisis. We saw, I think it was like 15% overall in the nutrition industry increase. Right now, because of the virus, people are running to get healthy. And so, we being in California and being asked to be at home, we're an essential business. And so we got letters from Washington and through the natural food industry stating that we needed to stay open. So we had put together a CDC plan within our building because we've got over 200 employees, about 250 employees coming in daily. And so we have to monitor and make sure that they are following the federal guidelines to manufacture. And we got to keep manufacturing, because we actually have seen, we've had a couple of weeks, by the way, that we saw an increase of 76% in growth. So we are literally out of our building. We are manufacturing hundreds of thousands of bottles as fast as we can. So we've had
a 24-hour cycle, or
24/7 we are running right now in our facility. And so we knew this growth was coming. What we are seeing, though, is, I don't know if you said what the date is, and, it's a Wednesday. What we are seeing is a plateau. A lot of people bought product and are now in their homes. And when they go to Costco or they go to Sprouts, they are not they're buying essentials. They're buying everything they need, and they are buying more than they need, so they don't have to come back next week. So what we're seeing in this week, after talking to the retailers, is we're seeing a plateau where we have a lot of inventory sitting in the retailers right now. Mm-hmm. So I think we're going to see a couple of weeks where we can back off our 24/7, which for us is good, because I'd like to see our team relax a little bit. A lot of people are sitting in their homes getting stir crazy. I think our whole team is sitting, in the factory going, I need a day off, which I think we're going to do that.
And at the factory, you are following the CDC recommendations, a minimum of 6 feet. The people are wearing gloves, masks, and they would do that
Correct.
anyway in the clean room portion of supplement vitamins
Yeah,
manufacturing.
and maybe when you can air this, I'll send you a video. We have a video of the manufacturing that we just took last week. We were running our staff 8 hours a day, and they'd overlap each other where a machine would be running like a tablet machine, and the other team member would come into the room and take over the machine. It would never stop. And then we'd have a cleaning time. What we do now is they're working 7 hours a shift where there's an hour in between the next shift. So they're able to leave the building, get in their car, and go home before the other shift arrives. So it's separating shifts as well as each room, because what's a blessing in manufacturing nutrition is you have already gowned up. You already have the face mask. You have the goggles. You have the gloves. You're washing yourself before you go into that room. So we live in a sterile environment already. So that part never changed. The only thing that changed was separating them so they're not standing side by side. But we really didn't have that anyways, except for bottling lines. And bottling lines are becoming more and more automated. And so we do have more than 6 feet apart in bottling lines.
I always think of bottling lines with the I Love Lucy, where she's with the candy and putting
Yeah.
boxes at the time. But they are, in fact, gowned up. And this is from the early 50s. It's interesting. But they were putting it in by hand. Not, it was much
Did they have gloves?
I
don't remember if they had gloves.
I don't remember that either. I remember them stuffing candy into their mouth because they couldn't get it into the box or twist it or whatever they were doing. I don't remember. They were gowned. I know they were gowned up. What is Youtheory doing for the community? For example, are you providing supplements to healthcare workers?
Yes. So we partner with NIGU, Never Ever Give Up. And it's a foundation that was started because of a friend of mine's daughter who passed away of brain cancer. She started bringing toys to the children in the hospital in joy jars. And then it continued to play out to where they take care of the parents and they bring sheets and blankets for the children that are the cancer patients. So when we saw this starting to take place in the hospitals, the nurses had started already asking for masks and for certain items that they needed. And so what we did was we took the joy jars that we normally, and we still do, give to the children. We created nurse joy jars. So the nurses are getting masks and they're getting little things like, even I think every other one gets a game in it. So they can, on their a little game they can play. What was happening was the hospitals were stopping the toys from coming into the hospital right now because of the virus, but the children that have cancer were getting forgotten. And we didn't want that to happen. So because we started bringing in the nurse jars, we were able to bring in the joy jars for the children at the same time. And therefore it's a win-win. And the cancer kids that were being forgotten right now in this time are able to get a nice jar of toys, and the nurses are getting another jar of toys and face masks.
And as we wrap up here, what supplements from Youtheory would you recommend to people to boost their immune system? I mean, I'm taking turmeric, and that's a great antioxidant, for example. Any others that you can think of?
Well, the Prime Minister of India was, we had to do a conference call with him 2 weeks ago. He was trying to figure out which was an essential business and which wasn't. And we were telling him our case on turmeric and ashwagandha. He was telling us back that he himself was trying to get the public in India to get on ashwagandha and turmeric, because they both have fighting agencies that help your immune system and also help overall health. So for myself, I've doubled up. I'm actually, I've got a bag of turmeric and bottles, but I'm taking about 12 turmeric a day, and I'm taking I'm taking 4 ashwagandha a day, as well as John Hopkins wrote an article 2 weeks ago. I don't know if you saw that, but we had no idea they did it. All of a sudden, we ran out of collagen in all the retailers. And we're like, what's going on? Why is the collagen sale so high? They actually for 1 week, they surpassed all the turmeric. And we are at this point the #1 turmeric manufacturer in the world. We tablet more turmeric than anybody in the world. So, and we do that with Sabenza out of, they actually farm it, and we tablet it and bottle it. So
you are farm to shelf. There's no.
We are. So, if I've always wanted to be in control as a manufacturer of my product, from when it comes out of the ground to when it goes into the bottle and a consumer consumes it. So I've always wanted, so I'm on the ground. My wife and I travel over there. Dr. Bitts travels over there, and we work with the farmers. And so Dr. Muhammad Majid, who owns Sabenza, has been a friend of mine since the 90s. And so he and I have worked together to farm turmeric, and we have now over 20,000 farmers, because they all have about 10 acres each to 20 acres. So we're working with them, and what we've been able to do is we're buying it straight from the farmer. So there used to be a distributor involved in all the turmeric out of India, and now we have taken out the equation and put it into their schools and their irrigation. And when we started doing that, there was one more piece that we were missing, and that was water. So we have water trucks going into the communities and making sure the community gets 2 water trucks to our 1 water truck to our turmeric. So yeah, we
should point out that much of the area where turmeric is grown is desert, really, isn't it?
Yeah. It's desert. Not like an Arizona desert, but more like a California desert, I would say. But close to the coast. It's the soil's a little richer than it is here. If you go out in the desert in Arizona and pick up the soil, it's pretty dry. It is actually pretty moist.
Interesting. Have not been there, but have a camera, will travel. Thank you very much. If people are more interested in learning more about Youtheory, what is the website for them to go visit?
Youtheory.com. You'll find everything on Youtheory.com. Another announcement is that Dr. Bitts is doing a show on there coming up here in the next couple of weeks. You'll start seeing a day where you can actually ask questions on our website.
That is super. That is great. I wish you all the luck in the world. As I said, I've received some samples, and my family and I are enjoying them quite a bit, the turmeric especially, and we cook with it. In fact, I'm trying to think. I made a whole menu list, and we're doing cauliflower tikka marsala this week. And of course, one of the prime ingredients will be turmeric, not from Youtheory, but cooking turmeric.
Yes.
I guess I could open up the capsules, but I don't want to.
It's concentrated. It might not taste that well.
Got it.
Yeah.
Will you come back sometime, Darren?
You bet. So we furloughed our marketing department. They're all working out of their houses. And by the way, every employee that we have is getting full pay, plus we've given everybody a raise. Our production crew are all getting an hourly increase and bonuses for working through the virus. But what we have is I'm pretty much isolated on my side, because all my team that works in my office are all in their house. The virus started. It's been hands-on. We've got a new grandchild coming into the equation.
Congratulations!
Like tomorrow, so it'll be our number 7.
Oh my!
And, we're excited about
I only have
that.
one.
Yeah, I started early, my wife and I, and it's a blessing now because I could actually play baseball with them with my grandchildren. So
Well,
yeah,
that's true. And the bad news is that they'll beat you,
yeah,
right?
they'll hurt me.
They'll hurt you. They'll strike you out.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time talking to us today about Youtheory. I'm Mark Allen. This is Late Night Health. We'll be back very soon. Stay safe.